Welcome everybody to the Bridge Dance Project. We are here this week celebrating International Dance Day, which is on Friday, and we bring you this virtual education series with the Atlanta chapter. The Bridge Dance Project is a grassroots network supporting the whole person health and wellness of competition and commercial dancers and teachers by providing current dance medicine and science information. Our mission is to build bridges between the competition and commercial dance community and the dance medicine and science community by providing easily accessible, readily applicable, and personally empowering information. If you are in the Atlanta area and would like to host a free workshop at your studio or with your dance team, please contact us at bridgedanceatl@gmail.com. If you're interested in joining this chapter, again, email us at bridgedanceatl@gmail.com. If you are tuning in from an area outside of Atlanta and would like to join a chapter or learn more information about the chapters in your area, please visit the Bridge Dance Project. So tonight, myself and my partner Yasi will be presenting. We are two dietitians. We work with dancers. We were former dancers. Together, we have created My Dance Nutrition. We do team talks with dancers and coaches. We do nutrition workshops. So whether that be with parents, with teachers, or if you would like a body image workshop, we got you covered. We also do one-on-one nutrition consulting, and we will give you our contact information at the end of the session. Our goal and our mission is to be your trusted resource in dancer nutrition in the noise of diet culture. Oops, there we go. And there's our intro slide. We'll be talking about nutrition timing and prepping snacks for your dance bag.
All right. Hi, everyone. So in our approach, we stress the importance of an all foods fit approach. And what that means is we want you to be able to have your salads and your pizzas too. And we do not believe in restricting any particular food group or any particular food item. We talk about balance and the importance of balance in helping fuel the whole dancer, not only for performance, but also for your health and your growth and your longevity. So food restrictions, any type of food restriction can lead to micronutrient deficiencies. And what we mean by this is, for example, if you are restricting carbohydrates and all carbs. Now, think about what foods might be carbs, like your fruits are carbs, your dairies are carbs, bread is a carbohydrate. Some of these foods will offer a variety of nutrients that are really important for the body. And when you are restricting any of these food groups, you're also preventing the consumption of these micronutrients, such as B vitamins that help with energy production, calcium that helps support our bones and muscle contraction, iron. Iron deficiency is common amongst people who may restrict foods that are iron-rich sources or just are not eating enough. And then magnesium and other nutrients. Restriction of any foods can lead to eating more than what feels normal at one sitting. For example, if you're someone who says, I'm going to restrict carbohydrates or proteins or whatever that looks like for a long period of time, there's going to be a time when you're going to want to consume that food again. And you may have periods where anytime that you're following a specific diet, you may have more of those types of foods because your body's been craving them and they've been restricted of those food items. And then restriction of any foods can just lead to unhealthy relationships with your food and body. The goal is to eat all types of foods and a balance of nutrients so that your body never feels like it's missing out on any type of food. And we don't like to label foods as good or bad. Again, we believe in balance. And something that would help would also be to ask yourself, what can I eat right now to support my performance and my health that fits in line with the all foods fit approach?
Yeah, so really important, like Food is your friend. Why is eating on a schedule important? It allows dancers to train harder for longer, right? Because food gives us energy, right? And it also helps rebuild, which we'll get into in a moment, but it helps rebuild muscle tissue that we're utilizing when we're dancing. It delays the onset of fatigue, right? We can train harder for longer. We're also not going to get those dips of energy on long competition days because we are eating on a schedule consistently, giving ourselves a consistent amount of energy throughout the day. It improves our strength. We need our strength for our leaps, our jumps, our partner work. It enhances concentration. We need to remember our choreography when we're out on stage. We need to be able to learn choreography when we're in rehearsal. So definitely making sure that we have something to eat can help with that concentration. And also it can help you perform better in school. It prepares your body for the next day of training and competition. We call that recovery, right? We want to replace the things that we have lost during training so we can recover and dance just as good, or if not better, the next day. It helps us maintain a healthy immune function. Now, I don't know about any of the other coaches out there, but I feel like, our state competition was always around flu season. So having all of these nutrients, like Yasi said, and eating consistently can help our immune function so we're not as susceptible to those colds and flus. And then it reduces our risk of injury, which is another thing that's really important. We had a great discussion yesterday with Ann McDougall from Atlanta Dance Medicine, physical therapist. If you have not seen that, catch that. But she did touch a little bit on nutrition, and we're going to talk about how nutrition can absolutely help reduce your risk of injury.
Now let's talk about our nutrients and why it's important to not be training on empty. So dancers are athletes, they are performing artists, and they are going to train just as long as the traditional sport athlete performs. They have back-to-back training, and they have long days of school and then practice either during school or right after school. And dancers are competing. They're constantly competing throughout the year. They have different times of the year when training is going to be a lot harder than other times in the year. So it's really important for dancers to make sure that they are eating enough, eating consistently, and not training on empty. You see this gas tank on the right. You see that the little red dial is on empty. And what happens is after an overnight fast of, let's say, 8 to 10 hours of sleeping, what ends up happening is that in the morning, your body is waking up on empty. And it's really important for the brain, especially in the bloodstream, to have a consistent fuel source. So for our energy stores, I don't want to get too sciencey here, but when it comes to our energy stores, we have carbohydrate storage sites in both our liver and our muscles. Now, our liver can get depleted after an 8 to 12 hour nights fast. And when you are going to school on empty or training on empty, it's going to really affect your performance, both mentally and physically. So dancers need adequate nutrition to support their level of activity for brain power, for growth, and for health. And so it's important to have something and break that fast in the morning and to be training and studying and going to school and starting your day on full rather than empty. I'd love for you guys to try and experiment, write it all out, and kind of, monitor and think about what happens if I go to school without eating a snack or without eating a meal, or what happens when I start dancing without eating a meal or snack. And then compare it to the days that you do have a snack right before training, and really identify what your energy looks like, how remembering choreography looks like, maybe how it feels like to take a test. These are all really important factors in making sure that you're getting enough fuel to start your day. So carbs, proteins, and your fats will help support a dancer in meeting their energy needs and making sure they're starting off right at the start of their day.
Okay, so carbs, a dancer's best friend. We love carbs. Carbs are where we get our energy. Carbs can come from things like grains, pasta, rice, fruits, bread, milk, oats, cereal, even cake, right? Cake is a carb, potatoes and beans. And there's a time and a place for cake, right? All foods fit. Carbs are our main source of fuel, our main source of energy. Skipping out on carbs is literally like skipping out on energy. Just like Yasi said, in the morning, we've depleted all of our carb stores. The same can happen if we're going all day without eating. Maybe we do have something in the morning and we skip lunch, and all of a sudden we're trying to make it to after school rehearsal and then driving to the studio and making it for a long day, and we're not having dinner until after we're done at like 9 o'clock at night. You're going to be pretty tired during that day. So we want to make sure that we're eating consistently good sources of carbs. Carbs are an easy to use fuel, giving us the most energy for our brain and our body. Our brain loves carbohydrates. That's where it's our body's preferred source. It spares protein. So what that means is if we are not getting enough carbohydrate in our eating pattern, our body will use other things as energy, and one of them is protein. So the protein that we eat, instead of going to our muscle, it will be going towards energy, right? Or our body can potentially be breaking down our muscle to use for energy. And we want to make sure that we have all of that protein to go to our muscles so we can recover from dance, so that we aren't increasing our risk of injury, right? We want our protein to recover after dance, so we're not increasing our risk of injury, because if we're not eating enough, right, we're losing out. And then long acting versus quick bursts, right? So long acting carbs are going to be those starches and those whole grains and things with fiber. So that's going to be like your whole grains. That's going to be your fruits. Your quick bursts are going to be also your fruits, but maybe in a little bit more of a simple form. So as opposed to an apple, it might be an applesauce. It might be a sports drink, right? There's carbohydrate in sports drink, and that would be a quick burst. So quick bursts are really nice for during long rehearsals, right? When you only have a chance to maybe have an apple squeeze or sip on some Gatorade or a sports drink. The long acting is what we want kind of on our meals throughout the day. And then the quick acting is what we want before our rehearsals, before competition, and then during dance.
So protein is the next nutrient that we're going to be talking about. Protein helps to build and repair muscle tissue that's been utilized in performance and practices and throughout the day. Even if you're weightlifting too, protein is going to be really important, especially after training, to make sure that it's repairing that muscle and helping you build lean body tissue. Protein is important for movements that require strength. So leaps, jumps, partner work, any movement that requires that extra strength and balance, it can help with that. Now know that protein also does provide energy, although we want most of that energy coming from our carbohydrates. But if there are times when the body just needs that extra source of fuel, it can get energy from protein too. But we don't want that to be the primary fuel source because of all the other functions that protein plays within the body. Now, protein also helps keep us more satisfied at meal times. If you're just having like a bagel at a meal, it may not feel as satisfying unless you add like an egg to it or add some peanut butter to it. So add more protein to your meals to help increase satisfaction, especially if you're noticing that your stomach is starting to grumble or rumble during school or even practices. Now, protein at meals and snacks and getting enough of it can help prevent that muscle loss that Melissa just talked about in the previous slide. And then it also helps with, if God forbid anyone's ever injured. Now, what I've noticed when consulting with our dancers is that those who don't get enough protein, it's really hard for them to progress in their rehab program as efficiently and as quickly. So getting enough protein in throughout the day can also help with that progression with rehab after an injury. It does support your immune system. Getting enough of that protein can help the antibodies that are needed to fight off any infections. And then it's a key player in enzyme and hormone function and production within the body. There's a lot of processes that we don't see actually happening within our bodies, and protein is the driving force behind a lot of those properties within the body. Now, there's a variety of sources of protein out there. We have our animal and plant proteins. And if you are someone who's focused more on plant proteins, that's okay. Just make sure that you're getting enough of it and that you're getting a variety of plant proteins throughout your day. So examples would include beans, chickpeas, tofu, tempeh, edamame, nuts and nut butters, even seed butters can sometimes provide enough, some protein. Soy beverage, any alternatives like milk alternatives that have protein added to them, protein shakes, quinoa, hemp seeds. For animal proteins, it's important to focus on getting like poultry, turkey, chicken, beef, fish, tuna, shrimp as an example, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, and eggs. These are great sources of protein.
Fats. Fats are a key player in hormone health and combating inflammation. We talked a little bit about inflammation in yesterday's presentation. The body actually needs a little bit of inflammation to recover, but long inflammation we don't want, right? So things that help with those good sources of omega-3s, those heart healthy, what we call those heart healthy fats, those avocados, nuts, seeds, fish, olive oil, canola oil. It helps decrease inflammation, and fat also helps you feel more satisfied after a meal as well. So, you know, add some avocado to that bagel with an egg, add some avocado to your burrito bowl. This can be something to help you recover, right, after a long day of dance, along with your protein and your carbs. This is going to be very beautiful. And it also helps protect your organs, and it helps with hormones. We want to make sure that we're getting enough hormones. So we have, like, you know, enough estrogen, that we have enough testosterone, that we're having our regular menstruation, and to keep us healthy. And then it does provide, it is a form of fuel for those sustained, long, not quick movements, but like movements like walking or low intensity training. Fats can also be a source of energy, but also remembering that carbohydrates are going to be our main source. And then fats are going to be another one that support that.
Now, how often you should eat? Melissa and I get this question all the time. It really depends on two specific things. Now, one, general recommendations for the timing of your meals and snacks are generally, it takes about 3 to 4 hours to feel hungry, and that's generally when we notice changes in our energy levels. So the average person may need to eat every 3 to 4 hours. And that's as simple as having your breakfast around 8, having lunch around 12, having that afternoon snack around 3, having dinner around 7, and then having one more snack before bed. That could be an example of this. But meals are generally recommended every 3 to 4 hours. The closer we get to practice time, it's important to have a snack that is higher in carbohydrates, less in foods that may take longer to break down, like our proteins, like foods that contain higher amounts of fiber. So having like a lighter snack that is higher in a simple carbohydrate 1 to 2 hours before training is going to be beneficial. During dance, it's important that every time you have a break, especially during long hours of training, you grab a quick carb snack like an applesauce or an electrolyte beverage that has some carbs in it, some diced fruit or fresh fruit. These are, again, just examples. And then right after training, what our goal is for you is to get some sort of recovery in. So if recovery is going to be that dinner or that afternoon snack, wonderful, especially if it comes within that 30-minute to 1 hour time period. That's usually the time that our body absorbs all the nutrients a lot more quickly. But if you are able to get home within that hour and you can have that snack, wonderful. If not, then have a snack on you so that you can have that right after training, and then have your dinner in that 3 to 4 hours time period right after training. The other thing I'm going to add is, just because we're recommending a snack or a meal every 3 to 4 hours, that doesn't mean to not listen to your body. So it's important to think about, like, what does it look like when I'm hungry? Am I getting a headache? Do I feel lightheaded? Do I feel like there's sounds in my stomach? Everyone knows what it feels like to feel hungry. So if it's a lot more quickly than 3 to 4 hours, make sure that you are getting that additional snack or meal, and you are honoring those hunger cues and you're listening to them when it happens, so that you're giving your body what it needs.
Beautiful. So these are some great snack options for pre and post dance. We have our carbs, we have our fresh fruit, like all sorts of fruit variations. So whether it's a fresh fruit, a fruit cup, a fruit bar, a fruit squeeze, a fruit leather, a fruit smoothie. I do want to point out that, again, we've got the whole fruit, you know, is okay. Some dancers might not tolerate a whole fruit. So having, you know, instead of an apple, maybe an apple sauce, right? If it's the closer that we get to training, the more easily digestible we might need it, but it just depends on the dancer. Some dancers can have an entire peanut butter and jelly sandwich and go out dancing. Some dancers might only be able to handle like a little bit of a fruit smoothie, and that's okay. Protein sources are going to be, you know, peanut butter, hard-boiled egg, turkey slices, nuts, cheese stick, cottage cheese, and then we have our mixed sources like chocolate milk, PB&J, a fruit and fig bar or a date bar, trail mix, turkey sandwich, fruit and Greek yogurt smoothie. All of these are great things that you can pack in your dance bag. You can always pack like the single peanut butter cups. You can pack some crackers. You can pack any like of the fruit pouches or fresh fruit that will stay in your bag. Pretzels are awesome. Granola bar, any bar really. You can pack trail mix, cheese stick, depending on how close we're going to eat it, but you can always, you know, have a cooler pack. I would kind of mix and match these, pack these in your dance bag either every night, or grab a Ziploc bag and put things into it like you have it, like, this is my snack bag for the week, and take it with you.
Now, when it comes to meal planning, we have recommendations for the dancer's plate. We base this off of the Olympic Committee moderate training plate. Now, as you can see, about a third of this is your protein. A fourth of this is your protein, which is about the palm of your hand, the thickness of your palm. And then a third of this includes your starches and grains. This could be like breads, pastas, potatoes, rice, and then your vegetables would be like your leafy greens, broccoli, it could be carrots, bell peppers, and then your protein could be either that plant or that animal protein. And then we always like, within that protein, there's usually some sort of fat source. You can also add avocado, and then a side of fruit and a cup of milk. Here are some suggested plates. This is a great resource. If you are, you know, generally where we like to start dancers is on that moderate training plate and that dancer plate. But when you have competition, or the night before a competition, or when you know that you have rehearsal all day, it's important to use that hard training plate. So what you could do is take basically both of your fists, put them next to each other. That would be like the amount of grains that you would need for that hard training plate. And then you get that lean protein, and then you aim for at least a cup of vegetables. All
right, so putting it all together, This would be an example schedule for a dancer who's on the high school dance team and has practice right after school, and who also goes to the studio after dance. And so wake up at 6 a.m., get ready for school, 7 a.m. I'm going to break my fast, like Yasi said, so I can not be on empty anymore. So I'm going to have an egg and spinach and cheese sandwich, right? Getting our protein, our veggies, our carb on whole wheat bread with a piece of fruit and some water. I'm going to hydrate during class from 7 to 10:30. And because my lunch, I have the late lunch. My lunch isn't until 12:30 and I had breakfast at 7. And so I'm going to get kind of hungry. So I'm going to have a snack during my passing period at 10:35. And that's going to be a fruit and date bar or a granola bar, whatever you'd like. And then I have my lunch at 12:30. It's going to be a turkey sandwich on whole wheat bread, baked chips, carrots, and hummus with grapes. Then I have practice at 3:30. So I'm going to have a pre-dance snack to give me some energy to top me off. So I'm going to have 2 mandarin oranges and some water. And that's going to be a source of really easily digestible carb that's going to get me through my rehearsal. So 3:30 to 5:30, I'm going to hydrate during practice. I'm going to sip on my water. 5:30 p.m., I'm out of practice and I am on my way to the studio for my evening classes. I'm going to have some cheese and whole grain crackers and then sip on some more water. At 6 to 8:30, I'm in dance class. I'm going to sip on water during class. 8:30 p.m., I have a 30-minute commute from my studio back to my house. And we want to make sure that we're having something, right, with carb and protein, like a snack or a meal within about 30 minutes to an hour. And because I'm pretty hungry, because I have like some hard classes, I'm going to have a half of a PBJ on my way home that I packed the night before. When I get home, I'll have some chicken and cheese quesadillas with lots of veggies, guacamole, because I want those anti-inflammatory, healthy fats, a cup of milk, and then for dessert, I'll have some strawberries with chocolate chips, some whipped cream for dessert. And so this would just be an example of what to eat. As you know, that we are suggesting something every 3 to 4 hours to keep our energy up, to keep our carbohydrate stores filled, to get lots of protein, veggies, to make sure that we're getting all of our macro and micronutrients. If you want more recommendations for you personally, you can definitely reach out to us and work with us one-on-one, or we can recommend you to a dietitian in your area.
So we don't want to leave hydration behind. Now, the effects of not getting enough hydration throughout the day could be lightheadedness during practices, basically just not absorbing all the nutrients that you're eating, and water really does help transport nutrients throughout the body. It also helps us get rid of waste, and it helps support our digestive system. Aim for at least 9 cups of water per day. I know this sounds, oh my gosh, like maybe overwhelming, but remember, liquids from tea, even like herbal tea, milk, almond beverage, soy beverage, those can all contribute to your hydration needs throughout the day. One way to monitor if you are getting enough hydration throughout the day is by looking at the color of your pee. When you're in the bathroom, you want it to be light like lemonade, not dark like apple juice. That's not always the most reliable way to assess your hydration. What you can do is just make sure that you are frequently using the restroom about every 3 to 4 hours. And when you are peeing, it's actually enough pee that's coming out. So keep this in mind, because you want your volume to be pretty consistent, and you just want to be making sure that you're sipping throughout the day. If you know that you're not going to be able to sip much during practice, make sure that you are getting enough fluids earlier on in the day, in classes, and during your breaks.
Absolutely. And then just know that you can use a sports beverage for hydration as well. And like Yasi always likes to say, a sip of water, a sip of sports drink, a sip of water, a sip of sports drink, right? So we're getting a little bit from both. So we would like to thank you for allowing us to share our passion and to share information about nutrition. We are at time, and I want to be respectful of everyone's time tonight. So if you have any questions, please email us at mydancenutrition@gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram, mydancenutrition, and we hope to serve you or provide really good resources for you.
Yeah, and you can always message us at My Dance Nutrition on Instagram too.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. And I hope everyone has an amazing evening.
Bye.